Morning. Hello. And thank you for listening. For those of you that have clicked on to today's podcast, it's me again, Woosh Raza, Head of HR and Learning and Development at Phoenix. And I am really excited this morning to be joined by Laurel Struthers.
Hello.
Hi, Laurel. So thank you so much for joining us this morning. Today we were thinking about having a chat in relation to resilience. And I guess what does that word even mean? How do we kind of stay resilient during these really challenging times? And find out a little bit more about how housing has been coping and kind of some of the challenges and demands. Um, so yeah, hoping that this kind of resonates and that there's some takeaways for people listening to this morning. So I'm going to just bat this straight over to you, Laurel, because I think what I've been asking my guests, I feel like I've got my own TV show, um, my own radio show, but I'm
I'd
asking
watch,
my.
I'd listen to that show.
I think I'm wasted. Oh no, no, I'm joking. Wasted on HR. Um, no, I'm joking. Yeah. So I'm asking my guests. I guess why is mental health important? For you personally, and I guess for the organisation. So, yeah, over to you, Laurel. Why is mental health important?
I think for me, it's been like my kind of relationship with mental health and mental well-being has been very personal and quite a long road. I do have anxiety, and there's been times in my life when I didn't have the tools and the coping mechanisms to deal with that, and it was quite limiting. It was quite a life limiting factor for me. And it's something that I have to always be aware of. I have to be aware of what the warning signs are if my anxiety is getting bad. I have to know what I need to do in certain situations to be able to cope in work and cope in my day-to-day life and maintain relationships and things like that. And it took, I think it was probably only the past 5 years where I really took it seriously, and my kind of image in my head with mental health and mental well-being is if you go to the gym and if you eat really well and if you work out, then you will see those results. But as soon as you stop going to the gym and stop working out, then those results will fade, and they don't fade quickly. You can get away with it for a week, but after a period of time, those results will really change, and your mental health and mental well-being is the same. And I think I kind of learned the hard way, I guess, just for me personally, that actually you need to focus on your mental health and mental well-being when you're well as when you're not.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important, just to be able to thrive and feel like you're in the part of the world that you want to be in, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you know what? It's so refreshing to hear you talk so openly about your own lived experience. And as a fellow anxiety sufferer, and I'm hoping a lot of people that are here listening to this who perhaps maybe nodding if they suffer anxiety, it is one of the most crippling um, conditions. I've got generalized anxiety disorder, and it's great to hear other people talk about your experiences. And you are absolutely right. When you haven't kind of defined it, or when you haven't um, understood it, it can be quite a scary thing because obviously physiologically some of the symptoms I get, it's really tough, especially right now because we're dealing, we're talking about health, and that triggers a health anxiety. And obviously when you have an anxiety episode, those are psychosomatic. So
Mm.
it's great to hear, kind of your journey, and kind of your thinking around mental health. I think hopefully that will resonate with quite a few people listening. And I guess in terms of the challenges that we've been experiencing at Phoenix, I think Phoenix has done a great job of understanding kind of how to rise to the occasion and help the people that we support and our staff during this time. But really, I guess what would be great is to talk us through what those challenges have looked like for housing, because obviously I know that each different types of business has had slightly different set of challenges. So yeah, what have been the key challenges, I guess, for the housing community?
Well, I think in our housing services, it is kind of business as usual. So the staff have been going in and they've been working every day, but there's a massive increase in pressure because for most of our clients now, we're the only person they see face to face. So
Yeah.
other providers maybe have limited what they're doing or are doing it via Skype or Zoom, which a lot of our clients are really resistant to. We do support them to access those meetings, but it was a fight to get them to do it. So I think one of the key things that I'm really mindful of is the team feeling this significant pressure to be that strong person that is there when people are talking about really traumatic events, or when they're really frustrated and struggling and are kind of directing that in not the healthiest way towards staff sometimes and expressing that frustration at us. And that's something that we
Yeah.
discuss with clients about how they manage it, but we're at the face of it. The other day, one of the team was rushing around, and she just got back from one house doing something else, and she said, right, I'm going to go do this, this and this. And I was like, when did you last have a wee, have a drink and have some food? And she was just like, oh, not since this morning. And it was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I said, just please, can you go and do all those three things before
Yeah.
you go and do anything else? Because she just felt so much pressure to be there for people, and that's a
Yeah. Yeah.
lovely asset in the team. Actually, it's something that's wonderful, is people wanting to be there. I've got one team member who's just on her own at Nashville Road at a service, so she's there every day with 9 service users, all of whom are social distancing. Some aren't seeing their children, and she's the only face, the only person that they see.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of helping them to maintain their well-being and resilience, it is really tricky because they're the only ones hearing about these stories. So I think I've been really mindful to make sure that I'm a presence and I'm there and we're talking and we're doing
Yeah.
reflective practices when we need to,
Right.
and that helping people to maintain a bit of a healthy distance, because I'm really proud of the work that we're achieving. And we've actually supported some
Yeah.
people through using substances to abstinence during this time,
Yeah.
which is really impressive. And that's a real testament to the work that the team are doing. But
Yeah.
we are seeing more people in crisis. We are seeing more kind of displayed presentations of people's mental health, or
Yeah.
of their substance misuse, and that for me, I think, has been the real challenge for the team. When everyone
Yeah.
else is saying, oh, we're very isolated and we're very on my own, I think sometimes my team just want 5 minutes of peace.
Yeah, no, I can appreciate that. It is amazing to hear how our staff are going above and beyond right now. And that example is another one. I mean, I had Tom Wright yesterday on the podcast, and he was mentioning that there was a confirmed case in one of the services, and that would have, we were expecting people then to just have a wave of sickness absence. But during this time, I think people are really, you're seeing the absolute best of humanity, I think, and it's examples like what you've just described, and the fact that we've had people kind of stay dedicated and committed to the work, and to supporting those that need it, which really I think is inspiring. So that is great to hear a flavour of some of the great things going on, and I guess some of the challenges that housing experience in particular. So I guess it's interesting because there's always a question that I get asked around staff resilience and well-being. What are some of your tips and tricks in the sense of staying resilient, I guess, during this time?
Well, I think, it was really lovely for you to say that, it's refreshing to hear me be open about mental health and mental well-being and my experience. But it shouldn't be refreshing. It should be the
Yeah, it
norm.
should be the norm.
It
Absolutely,
should,
you're right.
and
Absolutely.
it's because it's been stigmatized,
Yeah.
but the way to kind of overcome that stigma is to break those barriers. So I think for me, being open and having zero shame and talking about it has been really empowering. And something swimming around in your head for weeks, days, years is so much worse than when you get it out and you talk to someone. So I
Mhm.
think talking to people is a really powerful tool and a really important one. And we have a great range of really supportive managers at Phoenix, but we also have a lot of people who would class themselves as mental health champions. So if a manager is approached with a mental health situation that they're not sure how to support a team member, they can reach out as well. So I would say reaching out and
Yeah,
talking to people.
absolutely.
And also mental health and what helps you is not a one size fits all. So we talk a lot about like self-care, and that does look different. So for me, exercise is really important, and
Yeah.
motivating myself to exercise on
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
stressful days.
Yeah.
And like with the example of the team member of sit down, like have a break, have some food, take a step back from it, because when
Yeah.
you're in the moment, everything feels so much more important and like the world's falling down. And actually, if you take a step back and take a little bit of time, you'll realize that you can take that time for yourself and be more effective if you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And something I'm resolved to get a lot better at, and I do need to get better at it, is taking my annual leave. And
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's really hard in this time, because you feel like, I don't want to take annual leave to not do anything,
Do
to
anything.
be at
Yeah,
home. But actually, I'm feeling it now, and I need
yeah,
to have a
yeah,
word with myself and go,
yeah,
you need
yeah,
to
yeah.
take some time. And even if
Good.
you are just in the flat, you need to take that break away from all the situations at work. So I think, yeah, talking about it, figuring out what works for you, trial and error, and taking those breaks and taking that time away.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Those are great examples, I think,
What
of
about you?
staying
What are you
resilient.
kind of, what are your thoughts, and what are you telling your team?
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
resilience has always been a really important part of, I think, workplace psychology and organizational culture, regardless of coronavirus or COVID-19. Because I think,
yeah,
a lot of in the last, I'd say, definitely in my kind of, say, I don't know, decade working in HR, the amount of change that has happened across, the world. I mean, technology and, you know, technology, political differences, and different things happening. There's so much change, and obviously coronavirus is a huge amount of change that we've had to deal with. And it's so important right now to actually, recognize that this is. I mean, we're saying that we're seeing the word the new normal. Um, I don't know quite what that will look like actually, in the future. But I think some of the principles of resilience are really important right now, which kind of touch on some of the things that you've mentioned, Laurel. So I think fostering a sense of community is a really good way of building resilience. I think if you feel that you're part of something, that gives you that sense of purpose, and that you're part of a team, whether that's Team Phoenix or your own individual team. Um, Feeling committed to a cause is a huge way of nourishing what we call good work, and a good work standard, because people then feel motivated, they feel engaged, and they feel like a reason to get out of bed, which is a really important thing for us right now. You've mentioned getting people moving and exercise. Definitely, I think. I mean, we know that there's been restrictions lifted around unlimited exercise. I'd say take precautions and, risk assess the situation and the environment that you're in. But if you are able to exercise and you haven't done so at all, I am really bad for that. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. Like in HR, we talk about well-being and stuff, but I'm really bad for my own resilience and well-being. I actually had a chat with Karen a few during this time about and and it was great to hear someone else kind of give me the feedback about, well, you're doing something differently. And it was that prompted me to start thinking about, okay, what can I do? Because I live in a block of flats in central London, and I'm pretty boxed in because it's really busy wherever I go, and it's really
yeah,
I'm quite anxious of just going outside because it's so busy. So I've just done yoga with Adrienne, and she's amazing
I
on
love
YouTube.
her.
Like, she is so good, right? Like,
I
she's
love her.
amazing. And yeah, I've been doing yoga with Adrienne, and it's a 30-day thing, and I'm on day 8, and I swear to God, it has changed my entire mindset. I did it literally before I got onto this podcast. So it's first thing in the morning, when my mind is kind of, still fresh, and I'm still kind of waking up, and it's just a great 30 minutes. That's for me, that's kind of pushing me physically, but at the same time it's great for me mentally. So thinking about innovative ways of getting your exercise, it may not be, I know, when people go for a walk, I kind of go, that doesn't, it's not something I can easily access right now.
Yeah,
But it's not just that. You can do a lot of other things to stay fit and to stay healthy. And I think promoting learning and development. I mean, it would be, I'd have to do a little plug out here to the RMD function, given I obviously need to talk about learning and development. But it is really important. I know we've seen a lot of memes and a lot of quotes going, learn something new during this time. Pick up, do a skill that you would never have, potentially wouldn't learn a new skill or learn a new language. I mean, there's merit to that, but then at the same time, what I would say is, if you don't learn a new skill or you don't learn a new language, just know that that's also okay. Because I think people feel
yeah,
like they have to, like, get something from this time, and actually just even persevering through the time is achievement enough, I think. But actually, yeah, learning and development is another great way, if you want to engage your mind. And you'll see hopefully this week some of the learning and development opportunities that will be circulated to Phoenix staff. So I'm really hoping that some of that lands, or all of that lands actually, with people, in the sense of learning and development. So those would be, yeah, kind of my kind of areas. I guess any final thoughts on I guess one, if you could give like one key takeaway to people listening or housing staff listening, what would that be?
Um, to talk, to talk and to
Yeah,
listen.
yeah,
And I think particularly with mental health and well-being, I stayed quiet on it for so long, and it was so damaging. And I think particularly like one of the things I really love that you said, you know, if you don't learn something new in this time, it's fine. I think there's a lot of like quarantine comparison.
mm,
And I'm
really,
very lucky. I'm not on social media. I'm not really into that stuff, but I know a lot of my friends, they just kind of feel really badly about themselves because they're not doing what the people on social media are doing. So I think find what works for you and talk about it as much as you
absolutely.
can with anyone who will listen,
Yeah,
and just get it out there, because honestly it's all so much worse in your head than when you get it out. It's very freeing.
absolutely. That is a great way to end our podcast. Thank you so much, Laurel, for taking
Thank you
out
for
some of your
having
time.
me.
No, it's our pleasure. I say our pleasure as if I'm talking about radio station. It's my pleasure. And yeah, it hopefully that has really someone out there listening has taken something away. So thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the day for everyone listening. Thank you again, Laurel. And yeah, I will speak to you no doubt later on in the week.
Yes, thank you very much. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.